We might be witnessing the worst AFL season ever. The reason why is not down to a single factor, but a bunch of unique circumstances which have added up in season 2025. Now most of it is down to the AFL's lack of luck, but it still hasn't deterred fans from flocking to games in strong numbers. And the only real benefit in a boring season is that the top of the ladder and final 8 race is still hot, and hopefully for the majority, it comes down to the final game of the home and away season. Now round 22 was much better and might be foreshadowing an epic August and September. But the case for 2025 being the worst season was made by Peter Ryan from The Age. He went through a bunch of reasons why he felt the year has fallen well short compared to most others. The obvious is the divide, but the stats are even more stark than the ladder itself. David King revealed post round 22 that since round 14, the top 9's record against the bottom 9 was 40 wins and just 2 losses. One of the losses was by Fremantle, who were defeated by Sydney at the SCG by 11 points in a very tight game. And it was the Swans in round 22 who added the second of the losses, beating Brisbane at the Gabba in this latest round in one of the upsets of the season. But still, it's just 2 losses compared to 40 wins for the top 9 against the bottom 9. That is the single greatest stat that shows the disparity in the two halves of the table and lack of upsets we've had this year. But we can go even deeper into the margins. Let's look at round 21. 4 games out of the 9 were decided by 80 or more points. The Bulldogs defeated GWS by 88 in the anomaly of the round, but Melbourne beating West Coast by 83, the Suns mauling Richmond by 84, and Geelong defeating Port Adelaide by 88 points were expected results. It's just the third time in the game's history, stretching back to 1897, that 4 matches have been decided by such a big margin within a single round. The other 2 occasions were in round 2 2012 and round 19 2016. In 2012, the Giants were playing their second game and the Suns were in their second season. Both teams were among the 4 teams thrashed that round. In 2016, Essendon had lost most of their list due to suspension and were thrashed by Adelaide, with the Brisbane Lions, Fremantle and Richmond also copping hidings. In round 20, we saw 7 games decided by at least 36 points. The only game that saved that round was St Kilda breaking the all-time comeback record at 3/4 time. 5 games in round 17 were decided by at least 41 points, and every week since the halfway point of the season, we've seen around 3 of the games, or 33%, decided by heavy 40 or more point margins. It's just the way the season has panned out. But it's also been the optics combined with the facts. Prime time has been more like sleepy time in the back half of the season. Let's start with Thursday nights. It has been a bit of a disaster for the league, despite viewership and crowds still being solid. The decline of the Thursday games goes back to round 14, where the Western Bulldogs demolished St Kilda by 72 points. Since then, it's put a curse on the fixture, and the average winning margin on Thursday night sits over 50 points. Even the Hawthorn vs Collingwood game in round 22 was a blowout and carried on that prime time curse. In fact, the closest margin since round 14 on Thursday nights has been Hawthorn against Carlton, where the Hawks won by an even 4 goals. Every other game has had a margin of at least 37 points. It has been a bit of bad luck because prior to round 14, a lot of the Thursday games were close, featuring the Geelong vs Bulldog game, Gold Coast Suns and Hawthorn up in Darwin, and Adelaide vs Geelong during gather round. But it's not just Thursday nights that have fallen flat. Fridays, the other free-to-air primetime fixture, has been held hostage as well. For whatever reason from round 15 onwards, Essendon and Carlton have both been regular competitors on Thursday and those Friday games. Who knows why? Again, bad luck has played a part for the AFL. Essendon have been ravaged by injury all over the ground, and Carlton have as well, not to the same extent, but they've also had problems on field which have now been well documented. From round 15, the pair featured or will feature on Thursday or Friday nights 10 times on the runway home, and even play each other on Thursday night in the final round of the season. Channel 7 decided to knock that game off their schedule and replace it with the Sunday night game between Brisbane and Hawthorn. Who would have thought that coming into this season? Even the off-season might be a little boring. The trade period is normally a little spicy, but the draft won't be. The academy players and father-sons run right in the first round, so I think most draft boards will look very similar leading into November. But with all the negativity, there still have been some shining moments, and there is plenty to look forward to. The top 8 race is at the top of the list. With the Western Bulldogs' narrow win over Melbourne, one of the best games of the season, and that Swans' upset win over Brisbane, it means even the last 2 premiers still have the possibility to miss finals. Brisbane are in focus. Fremantle away and Hawthorn at the Gabba to come. Lose both and the Bulldogs win out, the Lions will sit 9th. Win both and a top 4 spot is just about theirs. If Freo lose both of their games and the Dogs win out, the 2 teams play each other, they are done, and if Hawthorn lose to either of Melbourne or Brisbane, and again the Dogs win, they miss out. Now the Giants play Gold Coast away in a pivotal game for them in round 23. If they lose and the above results happen, percentage could be the deciding factor. Even a single draw in any of these games could flip the season. The point is, with 2 rounds left, only Adelaide, Geelong and Gold Coast look to be completely safe from dropping out. Collingwood are no guarantee to beat Adelaide away, and even Melbourne in round 24. Anything can happen. Besides the finals race in the final 2 weeks of this season, and of course September, a few other games and milestones have been highlights this season. The Jeremy Cameron race to 100 goals is still alive. It will need the Cats to go deep into September, perhaps even all the way, but it has been a fascinating backdrop in the last third of the year. Cameron is on 79 goals with 2 games left, so let's see if he can get to 90 and give himself a real shot. The St Kilda comeback might be the highlight of the year. Nasiah Wanganeen-Milera basically ended Simon Goodwin's reign at Melbourne, and probably the most important thing for Saints fans, helped them come back from 46 points down in the greatest 3/4 time comeback ever. It kind of etched Wanganeen-Milera into St Kilda legend status. It was epic. And the other notable game was probably way back in round 1 when Richmond came back from 41 points down against Carlton, and no doubt foreshadowed the Blues season and instantly sold hope to the Tiger Army that their rebuild was well on track. Of course there are other highlights for each fan base, but overall there have been at least a few eye-catching moments through 22 rounds. Not every AFL season is guaranteed to be an all-time great one, but there is still hope that the end of 2025 might trump any of the boring football we had to endure, especially in these winter months.